Welcome back. So today we've got the block and the head.
This shit like 50-inch chrome right here. It's not 50 inches. It's not even 20.
My dildo's 50 inches.
Today we're going to be doing a lot of work on the head and the block, as well as just a couple odds and ends on the metalwork, getting everything ready to actually start putting together. That's going to include decking and notching the block, as well as resurfacing the head and port matching literally everything. By the end of the day, the head and the block should look like brand new, and everything should be ready to start assembling for next time.
But we're just gonna take a feeler gauge to this and that and see how fucked up they are.
This shit's fucked.
Yeah, it's probably pretty bad. We're gonna see if it's straight, but if it's not, which it's probably not, we've got this, which is, I already checked this out. This is pretty much level within, what was it like?
It's 0.05 millimeters or 2 thou inches.
So this is pretty much as straight as we're gonna get with our hillbilly methods. That's our block decking mechanism.
It's straight, but it could be gay. We don't know. It's in the closet.
Where the fucking feeler gauge go, bro? Sit in your ass again.
Yeah.
Dude, what fucking poop that shit? Oh, here it is. But this is absolutely significantly warped. Bad. So fun fact, this head was sitting in a man's backyard for like 4 years or something. Maybe longer, probably a lot longer.
And this thing was actually warped to 0.15 millimeters, which is literally 3 times the clearance allowed, so that's like very bad. Now this hillbilly machine shop is actually pretty easy to put together. All you really need is the particle board, and then I just take some regular spray adhesive and put some flat sandpaper. I used like 110 grit, and from this point you could be machining all your homies stuff. Open up your own machine shop. This is all you really need right here. Then all you need is like 10 years of your life sanding back and forth, and you might actually get somewhere.
All right, this hoe is looking like we did something. Not enough, but
After vigorous stroking,
some fuckies here, some nuggies here, and some cummies over here.
And so we spent pretty much like a couple hours just sanding this thing with many different methods, some sus, some not. And when we got like halfway through, the paper ended up being too dull, so we scraped it off and put a new one on. But at least I'm not paying that goober down at the machine shop to do what a real hillbilly can do himself.
Señor, mi familia, ¿no nos escondiste?
Shut up and get back to work, buddy.
Por favor, mi familia.
No.
This next part was pretty scary though, because it was kind of weird taking that whole block up there and sanding that thing, but it worked really well and fast because it's so much weight on the sandpaper. But y'all really got to trust the process, because miraculously at the end everything was like totally in spec, completely flat. So, you know, suck on that, haters. Now that that's done, we can actually hone out the cylinders with this AutoZone rented tool and some WD-40. But the trick is to just really keep it lubed up with the WD-40, or if you're not hillbilly like me, you could actually buy some real honing oil.
We had a prolapse.
uh-oh.
And it actually seems to work good if you go a little bit faster than you're comfortable with. But pretty much getting the right drill speed and the right in and out speed motion, just keeping it consistent, is really the only trick to doing this. It's pretty simple, you just kind of have to get a feel for it. And this bitch looking pretty clean now. We got the cylinders honed out. You can't really see very well, but some cross hatching, some less rust, maybe wrong, maybe right, who knows? Better than before, probably. And now the block is pretty much ready to build on. We've got it everything honed and decked out. The head is decked, but the head's not quite done yet. But I did buy all of this stuff here just to be able to port it by hand. We're gonna be porting the cylinders to gasket match, if you can see here. Then we've also got the intake manifold, which we will port. And once we get the turbo set up, then I'll be also porting the exhaust manifold to match. But we'll start with the exhaust side, and then we're gonna move to the inside of the head and sort of just clean up the casting in here as well. And I think there's like a ridge that you want to remove. Yeah, I can feel it. Now, when we're doing this, the only areas that you have to be careful of are pretty much this is the valve mating surface. That's the valve seat, I guess. You don't want to mess that up. And after I got it mostly shaped, I realized when I put the gasket back up that it actually has some play in it. So I decided that I was just going to pull it all the way down. That way it would be in the same spot where it would fall just from gravity hanging on the studs when I actually go to install it. But with that done, I just have to get the casting marks on the side. So I moved down to underneath and I was going to get those casting marks as well as work on smoothing out that ridge.
This thing came out pretty good. The actual intake manifold, I think, came out a lot better with less like scratches on the inside of it. And that's because I think I went too crazy with these carbide bits on the head. So what I would suggest is try out the manifold first, because you know, it's not as important, you're not gonna mess it up. You wanna start with the carbide bits, but only to just flare out your markings. Like you mark with the pen and use these just to cut right up to that edge and leave yourself a little bit. And then you're just going to smoothen that edge instead of actually expanding anything in here. You're just going to smoothen the transition. And then the 80 grit sandpaper is all you need to get rid of the casting marks. You don't want to mess with these to do that, and that's where I went wrong. And the last thing we need is just to use these and notch the block and the girdle with them. But you just want to take out pretty much this whole thing and just round it over a little bit. And that's all you got to do for that. And then on the girdle, you just want to basically mark out the center here and then take it and just clearance it out. And that right there is just about as decent of a job as you could ask for. Pretty much all I did is you want to stay away from the actual cylinder wall and just grind down the corner just barely and then roll it over back that way. Even though it looks like shit, you know, it's gonna work just fine. And now we can move over to the girdle, which I just marked up pretty much by eye. You want to go wider than not, because I've seen people do it. They just get like pretty much the width of my thumb there, and then they end up getting close on the edges. So I'm just gonna pretty much grind it all the way. There's like a casting mark, that's a good eyeball of depth. There's no measurements to any of this stuff. You pretty much just eyeball it and then install it. If you need more clearance, you go ahead and make more. And after I spent about half of my remaining lifespan notching that girdle, I was pretty much done. The only thing left to do now is to thoroughly blow everything out with air and pressure wash it to make sure all the metal shavings are gone. Although before I did that, pro tip for all you guys that actually watched the whole video, the trick I showed with having the sanding block on the table worked really good with the block because it's so heavy. But for the head, to get it completely straight, I actually did end up putting some handles on it at the end and going back through and making it completely flat. But everything is looking night and day, and I'm actually pretty happy with the way that port turned out. I've never really done anything like this before, so this is all looking way better than I expected it to. And now that everything is prepped to build on, next episode we're either going to be building the head or the blocks. But that's it for today, so thank you guys for watching. Hopefully tomorrow or next time we'll be started reassembling the head. Do like a little... yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, so hopefully next time the head will get assembled, because I still need a couple more parts for the block. This stupid Chinese block guard I bought, it don't even fit in there. It's like it was made by a blind person. I mean, obviously I could try to make it fit, but even if you do, it don't fit. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Winners.